Hi, my name is Judy, and I have a headache. I'm supposed to go to the store and shop between Excedrin, Advil, and Tylenol. Being that I'm a college student, I'm looking for the least expensive alternative to cure my headache. So, I've put together this list of active ingredients in each one, the cost per bottle, the amount of tablets, the cost per tablet, the dose for someone of my weight, 140 pounds, which we'll have to convert to kilograms in order to figure out the dosage. And we'll use dimensional analysis in order to do that. We'll also take a look at the cost per dose and the quantity of tablet per dose. Now, through my printer is not working, but I'm going to do my best to explain this to you, and as I put each problem of Excedrin, Advil, and Tylenol as a spreadsheet. As you can see, I've already come to my conclusion that because I am a cheap college student and I can't afford this headache, I'm going to take my least expensive option, which is the Tylenol. I'll try and zoom in. I don't have a tripod for my camera. So this is the Tylenol, and it comes down to 2 tablets for 14 cents. Okay, let's move along here. I'm going to move to my first sheet. And I'm going to scroll up. And our first one is Excedrin, and our active ingredient is acetaminophen. Now, one of the first things I did was I used dimensional analysis in order to convert my body weight. And I did that for each problem, and I wrote the conversion factor, and along with my notes, I wrote that it can be flipped because while this isn't very significant for this particular problem, I think that it's a notable that when you're working with other problems to remember that can be done. So I have to write the quantity that you want to convert, which is my weight of 140 pounds, and the conversion, which you can see in the table, 2.2 pounds equals 1 kilogram. 1 kilogram can be converted to 12 milligrams, and that is the dosage of our medicine. So the way I do this is I multiply all the values in the numerator, I multiply all the values in the denominator, and then I divide. So you can see I have 140 pounds times 1 divided by 2.2, which is going to give me 630.5. And I did round this using sig figs, or significant figures, which I will describe a little better below. So let's just scroll down to talk about sig figs for a minute. And I wrote the definition here with an asterisk because when I was doing my conversion of the cost per tablet, that was my first one using sig fig. So I put a little asterisk there. And then I have the definition of sig figs here. The digits in a measurement having values that are known with certainty, plus one digit having a value that is estimated, are called significant figures. So I hope that explains my significant figures and some rounding. And then up above with my weight, we have the dimensional analysis. And again, we're going to use the dimensional analysis here because I have now I found my body weight in kilograms, but the acetaminophen is dosed as 240 milligrams per 35 pounds of body mass. So I'm still not there yet. I've got one more little problem here. So I take my 35 pounds times the 1 divided by 2.2, and that's going to give me, as you can see, I rounded to 15.9 kilograms. So now I know what 35 pounds for the 240 milligrams is, and I know how much I weigh. So I go on to my problem here, and I take my 63.5 kilograms, and again, using the dimensional analysis, note how I have the kilograms on the top, the kilograms on the bottom to cancel each other out. I have my 240 milligrams on top. So with Excel, I had a hard time drawing a diagonal, but I think you get the picture of how I'm going to be left with milligrams once I multiply 63.5 times the 240, divide by 15.9. I have my 958.49 milligrams. So let's see if I can move down here. Now that we've identified that, I have to take a look at how that's actually sold. My cost per unit, 200 caplets for $15.51. Okay, so using division and sig fig, here's my cost per tablet, which is 0.07755 per tablet. And I have to take into consideration how much I weigh and how much I'm going to need. The caplets are in 250 milligram doses, and my recommended dose is 958.49 milligrams. So therefore I would take 4 pills, which would cost 31 cents to relieve my headache. We're moving along to the next example. So if I want to relieve my headache with Advil, the active ingredient is ibuprofen. And ibuprofen is dosed for this particular example at 113 milligrams per 25 pounds of body mass. So again, I'm 140 pounds, so I convert my weight to 63.5 using the dimensional analysis. I've written out the quantity that I want to convert, multiply the values in the numerator, multiply the values in the denominator, divide the product of the numerator. That will give me 63.5 kilograms. I take that, there's my conversion table, and I carry it down here. To ibuprofen is dosed at 113 milligrams per 25 pounds of body mass. So again, I've got to take that 25 pounds and convert it. Okay, so in order to do the conversion, it's the same way. I have the 25 pounds and I multiply that by 1 and I divide by 2.2, leaving me with 11.36 kilograms. Now let's just revisit back up here now. My active ingredient, as we discussed, is the ibuprofen. The cost per bottle at the store is $15. The amount of tablets is 300. The cost per tablet is 0.05 cents, and I use division to come to that conclusion. My dose per tablet in milligram is 200. My dose per 140-pound person is 631.6. My cost per dose in cents is 0.15. My quantity of tablets per dose is 3. So we still haven't quite answered all of it. We still have to come, well, we answered it up there, but we're answering it down here. So how do I have my weights converted, but I have to still figure out the dosage. So in order to do that, I come down and I take my 63.5, my weight, plus their weight that they converted was 11.3. I have those two weights, and I have the kilograms versus milligrams now. So I take 63.5 on top, I multiply that by 113, and then I divide by 11.36 kilograms. Note that leaves me with milligrams of 631.65. So that would be my dosage. Now the caplets are in 200 milligram doses, and my recommended dose is 631.65. I'll take 3 pills, which will cost 15 cents to relieve my headache. And my final comparison in this problem is Tylenol. And the active ingredient in Tylenol, I think, is pronounced paracetamol. Paracetamol is dosed at 102 milligrams per 15 pounds of body mass. So again, I use my dimensional analysis. I have my body weight. I have my conversion table. And I'll take a quick look at what I did over here for the cost per bottle, which is $14.97. The amount of tablets is 225. The cost per tablet is 0.07 cents. I used my division of $14.97 divided by 225. My dose per tablet in milligram is 500. My dose per pound per person, I already did this, so I just filled it in, of 951.10 milligrams. My cost per dose in cents, 0.13, and my quantity of tablets per dose is 2. Now, going back to our problem, we know how much I weigh in kilograms, which is 63.5, but we still have to go back to the Tylenol. It's dosed at 102 milligrams per 15 pounds. So we're going to use the dimensional analysis there, crossing out the 15s to convert to kilograms. 15.1 divided by 2.2 is going to give us 6.81818. We use our significant figures that I described earlier in one of the problems, and we round to 6.81 kilograms. I'm just going to scroll down here a little bit. I come across, so here we are. We want to take our body mass to dosage. And in order to do that, we have our body masses converted. And let's see, I'm a little fuzzy right here. Here we go. 63.5 and 6.81. To find our dimensional analysis, I've indicated it on this problem here. And so we multiply 63.5 times the 102 milligrams. We divide by 6.81, and we have 951.1 milligrams for a person of 140 pounds. My cost per unit, 225 caplets for $14.97. Just going back to that, to take a look at what it would take to get rid of my headache. And I am a cheap college student, so I don't want to get ripped off in this. Now to find the dosage, what I did was I had the 951 milligrams, and I used my sig figs to conclude that I would need 2 pills, which will cost 14 cents to relieve my headache. Sorry, I couldn't scroll down. I couldn't find my arrow. So I hope that this concludes my presentation. And just to recapture, because I am a cheap college student, I would stick with the Tylenol. I would buy that at my local Walgreens or CVS, and I would pay 14 cents for my headache to be relieved.